Hello, everyone, and welcome to Invitation to Puzzles, where today I have for you a killer puzzle. This is by meagain, and we have regular rules and we have killer. And killer are these cages in the grid, which have two rules associated with them. One is that the digits have to sum to the total that's given, so these 5 cells sum to 15. And the other is that digits cannot repeat within a cage. So even by normal Sudoku rules, I couldn't repeat digits here. But for example, I am not allowed here to do 1, 1, 4, 6. And you can see that indeed the solver will yell at you if you try to do this. Even though these numbers add to 12, they contain repeats. No bueno. All right, so I've left a link down in the comments so you can do the puzzle. Let's give it a go. All right, so the first thing I see in my world is that this 15 cage has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, how do I know that? Well, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 happens to be 15. And now maybe that's not a thing that you know off the top of your head because you haven't done a bunch of killer Sudoku puzzles before this one. But once you start doing them, you start asking yourself about the minimum that some digits could possibly be, and you learn that if you sum 3 digits, the minimum is 6. If you sum 4 digits, the minimum is 10. If you sum 5 digits, the minimum is 15. Well, if I made any of these digits even one bigger than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sum would be bigger than 15. So these digits just are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means these digits are 6, 7, 8, 9. But let's look now at this cage. Because when I look at this cage, I now see that these 3 digits sum to at least 6, whereas all of this cage needs to sum to 12, which actually means this digit needs to be at most 6. So in fact, it can only be 6 with a 1, 2, 3 down here. Now our 6's come up here. And we can make the same deduction up here about this 10 cage. If I look at this digit, well, I don't know what it is, but I know these two sum to at least 3. Well, because the whole cage sums to 10, that means this one's at most 7, so it is 7. And we, in fact, get that 7 with a 1, 2 down there. Okay, and these cages each branch off into another cage. This 12 cage, for example, now, because the 1 and the 2 in the box are gone, is minimum 3, 4, 5, and that just is what it has to be. I don't get anything other than that. This 10 cage, actually, if you look at it, these two, because the 1, 2, and 3 in the box are gone, they're minimum 4, 5. This is certainly a minimum 1. That already is 10. So I actually have to do this as 4, 5, and 1. I have no additional choice. And so that actually makes those a 2, 3 pair and makes that a 1. Removing my 1 from those cells. Let's see. So these two cells now, actually, if you look at it, they can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6. So these two are minimum 7, 8. With a 1, that is 16 again. So we end up with that sort of combo. You'll notice this repeating logical theme here, and this is a big theme that you'll see in a lot of killer puzzles. Is that you have to look at what's the minimum that these digits can possibly be, and sometimes also the maximum, although if the setter is kinder, it will be the minimum rather than the maximum. And that very often will sort of tell you what the cages have to be. And that's a lot more useful than looking at something like what are all the combinations that are possible for a 3-cell 14 cage or something like that. There's a tool that will tell them to you, but usually it's just such an overwhelming mess it barely matters. Okay, so these digits are 6 and 9, just to fill out the box, and we see that one's not the 6, so it's the 9, and that's the 6. Up there like that. Now I have a rather exotic creature here in row 1, which is I have a quintuple. Namely, these digits are the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in some order, meaning that the only digits left are 6, 8, and 9. So what I needed for a quintuple is I needed 5 cells that take their values from 5 digits that all see each other. So in this case, the values of these 5 cells are from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, note, some of them can't be all of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but that doesn't matter. If anything, only makes it better. And so that means those 5 cells have to contain a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. And so nothing else in the row can be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, meaning that these are 6, 8, 9. But hey, if you look at it, this 15 cage here, the minimum now that these two can sum to is 6, 8, which is 14, making that a 1 and that a 9. I can't do any better than that. So I can come over here for my 2 and my 1. That has placed the 1 in my 15 cage. And actually determined this 9 cage, because now no cell in this 9 cage can be a 1. So it's now got to be 2, 3, 4 exactly. Okay, this is certainly a 2, 3, 4, 5. How much do I care? I don't know. Let's see, what else is happening? Okay, so here's one other thing that's happening. 3 cell 8 cages need to have a 1 or their value is too big. 2 plus 3 plus 4, as we in fact just saw, is already 9, which is too big. So that means if there's only one place for a 1 in an 8 cage, you could just plonk it there. So this 8 cage, that's the only spot for a 1. This 8 cage, that's the only spot for a 1. And so we can go ahead and do that. These digits are, if you think about it, the biggest number I could possibly put in here is a 5, because these numbers need to sum to at most 7. So a 5 and a 2 would get me there. Remember, I can't use another 1. So these are from 2, 3, 4, 5. And I point that out because it gets me the friend of the quintuple, the quadruple, the slightly less adequate friend who has a bit of a complex about it. These are a 2, 3, 4, 5 quadruple. And in this 2, 3, 4, 5 quadruple, the 5 is actually down here. So these numbers need to sum to 7. They need to be 2 and 5. That actually looks up here and says, okay, these are 3 and 4. And that's the 2 that lives in this monstrosity over here. Okay, and so now these digits are big again. Namely, these digits are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let's see, that doesn't quite tell me what's happening, does it? I guess one thing I see now is that this 8 cage, these two digits also sum to 7, and they can't be 1, 6 because there's a 1 in the cage. They can't be 2, 5 because this cell would break. So these digits are definitely 3, 4. Which seems to have purchased me a 3, 4, 5 triple in this column, believe it or not. And so these digits can't be 3, 4, or 5, but they could be 2. Maybe I want to think about this cell instead. I think that might be more productive. The minimum that these two cells can sum to is 13, is 6 and 7. So this digit is a maximum of 5. But if you look, it can't be 1 or 2 by the column, and it can't be 4 or 5 by the row. So in fact, this digit is just a 3, making that a 4 and a 3, and meaning that these two digits need to sum to 15, so they either need to be 6, 9, or 7, 8. I don't think I know which one yet. I do see that 3 has made this into a 4, 5 pair in the column, meaning that that's a 2 or a 3. Okay. I do know that these numbers are 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think that's going to do a lot for me right away. Okay, I know there's a 3 down here. I do know what these are, I suppose. So yeah, this is a 4, 5 by the row. And so these are 4, 5, and 7. here's a point in this 3, 4, 5 triple in this column. I'm not claiming it's a good point, but it is a point. In this 3, 4, 5 column in the triple in the column, the 5 is up here, so this is never a 5. Okay, these cells don't have a 3, 4, or 5 in them. So if they don't have a 2 in them, they're minimum 13. It doesn't sound quite good enough, if I'm honest. What about these cells? Yeah, this has got to be the point. Oh, there's an 8 or a 9 in these cells. That's the point. Okay, so yeah, these, if I look at them, they're not 1, 2, 3. They could be 4, 5. They're not 6, 7, and they could be 8, 9. That one's not 4. But they can't be 4, 5. So one of these is at least 8. And so the bare minimum these can sum to is 5 and 8. That sounds bad. Sorry, 4 and 8. 4 and 8. It's like 5 and 8. That sounds bad. 4 and 8 is the minimum they can sum to. And they have to be that because this number is at least 2. So we have to do 4, 8, and 2 here. A 5 and a 4. I wonder if I was supposed to go down this column and across this way. I sort of went across that way. It might work either way. I mean, apparently it works either way, but it might have been that I was supposed to get this and that tell me what this cage is and have that 8 cage tell me what this 8 cage was, rather than the other way around. That might have been the order the constructor made it. Okay, 4 and 3. Okay, so these are 6, 7, and 9 to go across the way. It's not the 9. Let's see. Is a 2 up there somewhere? Okay, so these sum to a minimum of 8 as 3 and 5. And in fact, they can't even be 3 and 5, actually, if I am being completely honest with myself. Actually, yeah, these cells are just a 3, 5 pair because that's a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple. So these are a 3, 5 pair, which funnily enough means that these two sum to a minimum now of 3 and 6, which would be 9. And so if these are a minimum of 9, this is a maximum of 7. I'm at least comfortable saying that. I don't know how eager I am to litigate exactly what these digits are, but apparently I'm quite eager because I'm about to write them in. They're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are 6, 7, and 9 again. If this was a 9, it would just flat out not work, because if this was a 9, then these two sum to a minimum of 9. I'd be at least 18. But now this is an actual 6, 7 pair, meaning they sum to 13, so this is just a 3, making that a 5. Now, if you want to see a fancy trick, this digit is a 9. If you want to pause and see why I know this digit is a 9, you can. But the reason is because this 6, 7 and this 6, 7 are different by the fact that it's a cage, and this sees both of them. It sees that one in the box and that one in the column. So therefore, this is definitely a 9. So that's not a 9, and now that's a 9. Okay, that's not a 9 anymore. Okay, so now that's a 6, 7 pair, so that's not a 6 or a 7. So this is an 8 or a 9. An 8 or 9 goes with 6 or 7, given that the sum is 15. So we can figure that piece out over there. Okay, so this is a 3 by Sudoku, I see. That's going to be huge. This is the only place 3 can go in the box. And so now these add to 16. Well, the only way to make 16 is a 7 and 9. So that'll get me the 8 and the 7 over there. Let's see. So now this pair needs a 2 and a 6. And it sure does. Okay. This row is just 6, 7, 8, 9. And I know that neither of these is 7 or 9 because of the pair. So these are 6, 8, and I actually know exactly the order that everything goes. And that actually, just by chasing little marks that turn red, thanks to the magic of Sven, fills in every cell I had pencil marked except these two. Okay, so let's fill in these boxes that only have 2 digits left. One of them is a 4, and the other seems to be an 8. And here, one of these is a 2, and the other one seems to be a 5. Okay, so these need to sum to 18 as 8 and 9. So there's that. That's a 1 by the row. These are 4 and 7 by the column, which needs a 5 in order to make 15. Sorry, in order to make 16. That is a 3, giving me that at last. Okay, one of these is a 2, and it's that one. It's an 8. These are a 5 and a 9, and I know the order. Very nice. It's always great to do a pure killer every now and then. So I hope you enjoyed that. I did quite enjoy that. And I'll see you next time on Invitation to Puzzles. Thanks to everyone for watching. Bye for now.